So I'm going to be installing a C3 intake on my new bike. So I'm running a 2024 KTM 450 SXF. Typically, installing an aftermarket intake or a snowbike specific intake on a motorcycle is going to require some modification to the plastics inside the airbox. So I'm going to walk through the method that I came up with. I think it's pretty trick and I wanted to share it with you guys. So in order to install the C3 intake, we're obviously going to take out the stock air filter, and then we're going to do some trimming of the space around here to make sure that the intake boot fits appropriately through the front of the airbox. And then we're also going to go in and trim out some of this backside so that snow can fall freely through your airbox and not clog up. Okay, so this is what the stock airbox looks like. It's two pieces. It's the part here that the intake comes through, connects to the throttle body, and then it's this lower piece that goes out and creates the inner fender of the back of the bike. So as you can see, the C3 intake meets up to the throttle body and has this kink out to get the filter into the main part of the airbox. But what that means is that there's actually a spot here that there is a good bit of interference that you're going to want to trim away. So what I've done is I've marked where I want to cut away to create additional clearance. And then also you have to fit the intake in the filter in the airbox, but you also have to create a space for snow to drop away so you keep that airbox clear and it doesn't get clogged up with snow. That's especially a problem in areas where there's a lot of blower powder. So I'm also going to go through here and just make some marks so that I can cut out an exit path for my snow and know exactly where I'm going to be cutting this away. Okay, so as you can see, I've trimmed to make space for the actual intake boot. I've created a spot where I'm going to be cutting away a portion of the back part of the airbox so that snow can evacuate and leave the airbox and not get clogged up. Okay, so here is the new one that I'm going to be cutting. I already have it all marked out and templated. And then this is actually one that I have already cut out, and you can see how much more space we've created for snow to evacuate, as well as increasing the space around this notch here so that the intake will fit. Okay, so a couple of additional tools here. So I've separated the airbox. This is the flat piece that the filter normally affixes to. So I am also going to need a 3-inch hole saw and a piece of wood. So this is just like 2x10, a couple of screws. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to fasten this to a piece of wood so that it holds it in place while I am cutting it. So what I'm gonna do is this top screw, I'm just gonna use like a flange head screw, and I'm just gonna use the end of that flange to retain the edge of the airbox perimeter. And then because we're cutting this portion out anyways, I'm just gonna screw right through that with another screw to hold this all in place while I'm using the hole saw. Okay, so now you can see this is fastened down and I can cut out this portion of the airbox nice and tidy with a hole saw. So pro tip, soft plastic like this, if you actually run the drill in reverse, it's going to cut through it without the teeth catching the plastic and potentially tearing it. So you're going to use your hole saw, figure out where to drill your pilot hole. The pilot hole is going to be the center of that radius. And then you are going to run the drill in reverse and cut through that plastic. All right, and as you can see now, I've got a nice round spot for my intake boot to come through. Okay, so now that we have the upper radius cut for the actual boot to fit through, we need to trim up the sides here and then also cut out the bottom section where it meets up to the lower part of the airbox. So this plastic is really soft. If you don't have a lot of power tools, you can use something like just a box knife. I like an oscillating cutter. That works really well, and I feel like you can like shape and make your edges really nice. So that's what I'm going to be using. there you have it. All right, so now we have to modify the back part of the airbox. Once again, I'm going to use a hole saw for this. Remember, run it in reverse so it doesn't catch, especially with all these angles. This is a 3 5/8, and I found that's about perfect to cut out just enough of the airbox without cutting out too much and losing too much structure. So I have drilled a pilot hole to make it a little bit easier, so let's give this a go. And I do apologize, this is all a little awkward because I'm working without a thumb here, so. Okay, so I have my hole cut with the hole saw. Now I'm going to go back and use my oscillating cutter to just cut out this lower part, and then this whole piece will come right out. All right, there we go. Now we're just going to clean this up a little bit with our knife and a little bit of sandpaper, and we should be good to go. Okay, so here you have it, fully modified airbox that will fit the C3 intake. So for the C3 intake to go on the KTM, you will have to locate your air temperature sensor, which is on the drive side of the bike up right under the battery box area. So you're going to have to take that out and you're actually going to relocate it. And it is going to go here on the bottom side of your intake screen. So that's one thing that you will have to do. C3 does provide all the screws and everything to do that. So we'll show that when this is all on the bike. All right, so here's the finished product. We have the C3 intake in a 2024 KTM SXF 450. And you can see we've got really nice room and clearance around the intake boot. You can see by cutting out the bottom and lower end of that back piece of the airbox, snow is going to be able to drop through nice and freely. We even took and fastened up the wiring for the air temp sensor, so that's out of the way. So this is the mod that I do on these bikes, and I think it works out really well. You can see here all that lower airbox has been taken out. It's really nice, really clean. The snow clears out really well, and I'm really happy with this mod.